What's up, Flyover Show followers, Uprisers everywhere? Welcome to the inaugural Flyover Show Uprize podcast. My name's Soweto Kinch, and it's just a matter of days until our 8th annual Flyover Show Festival, which this year falls on Saturday, the 18th of August. We've got a truly stellar lineup, which this year includes two luminary leading female jazz voices in Zara McFarlane and cellist, pianist and vocalist Ayanna Winter-Johnson. It's going to be incredible. We've got some of my favourite new artists in Tremendous, Blue Lab Beats, Dudes of Jazz. So many people are going to be performing. But I wanted to start this week by looking at one of our legends. Black Symbol turned a number of heads when he performed here in 2016. And I'd like to scratch beneath the surface and discover more about the philosophy and the heritage behind Black Symbol and his music. Just a couple of weeks ago, we met up to have a chat about Rastafari, Handsworth, legacy, and everything else in between. I hope you enjoy it. But more to the point, I hope you're there on Saturday, the 18th of August, to witness this roots reggae pioneer in the flesh. I'll see you there.
Yes, my lord, Rastafari, give thanks to life. You know?
And thanks for inviting me in, really, to talk about everything, really, about you and how your music and stuff is contextualized, where it comes from. I was curious, how did you first get into playing music and then leading a band?
Well, I always liked music, you know, from I was in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. And I grew up around a lot of musicians because I have a lot of family who in the music world. But at the same time, when I was in Jamaica, I wasn't interested in playing music. I was more a listener. Sure. You know? But when I come to England in the 70s, one of the band which gave me that inspiration, you won't believe it, was Steel Pulse. This young lady invited me to a party on Ruku Road. Right. And I went to the party, and the group was playing inside the house. Huh. The group was playing inside the house, which I have never seen before. So this is I'm guessing, like a Handsworth terraced house, like a normal... Yeah. Right. And they just set up in the house. And they set up in the house, and the group was playing, and I find it very interesting. Very, very interesting. And it just get a hold on me. It just, you know. So you want to get involved in something like that? Thinking, yeah, I like that. You know, I like the sound of the guitar. You know, I like the whole setup, the way they was doing their thing. So step back a bit. You come from which part of Jamaica? St. Anne's. St. Anne's. Yeah, man. How? St. Anne's, born and bred St. Anne's, you know. As a matter of fact, where Marley come from, I just lived down the road from 9 Mile, really. Wow. You know? And this is quite a rural part of Jamaica. This is country. I never say. So to come from green country straight to Handsworth, straight to Birmingham, was it? Right into the centre of what then was a powerfully West Indian community here in Handsworth. I think at the time I would say it was the biggest West Indian community you have in maybe England. Everybody come to Birmingham, Handsworth. It's funny that every Jamaican person, it seems, in the world has got a cousin either in Wolverhampton or Birmingham somewhere. Because Birmingham was as far as I know, what is the biggest community? Yeah, maybe after Brixton, perhaps, or parts of London. Definitely very Jamaican, and certainly in specific. Birmingham coming like it's still in Jamaica. You know? You're right. And even to this day, you can still get your hard-earned bread. You know. Yeah, man.
certain
I
roots
think
and culture.
in Handsworth, the only place you can go and get your Jamaican traditional food.
Yeah.
Still get your yam and banana and cocoa and pumpkin and
Right.
you know?
But at the same time as all of this, you must have been dealing with the standard British racism that was there in the 1970s. This was still National Front times, people still being chased down the road and stuff.
Oh,
If
yes.
not in Handsworth, then other parts of Birmingham. What was that
Oh,
like?
yes, but it was there because my younger brother them experienced a lot of it. But me as one of the elders, I was too busy
Right.
doing other things.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, I could remember times like where you couldn't even go down Hackley underneath you see the flyover. You go down there, you're in a problem. You go to Perry Bar, that big pub there right at the roundabout. You couldn't pass there.
As a black person?
As
or?
a black person, there was problem.
Fascinating. Yeah.
And coming from a strict family, you go down there and you get yourself in problem. You have to go home to your parents. And you know, in those times, we were afraid of the police or afraid of anything.
Yeah, yeah.
You're afraid of your mommy and daddy.
Worst punishment than any police could to dish out to you.
Oh my God, sometimes if the police come there, you prefer go with the police. More than what you have to go face inside.
Right, right,
Yeah, man.
right.
But you know, our parents them was very, very strict. You know?
And if we were to go,
careful in everything what we used to do.
right, the eyes is on you. They're watching you.
Yeah, man, always.
And I guess to go back a couple of generations, I mean, this wasn't that long after slavery and colonialism really gripped Jamaica. So ideas of discipline, of watching your children to make sure they don't get into trouble, you know, they're still very ingrained in African culture, diasporic culture around the world.
Yes, I am. Yes, true, that's true. Yeah.
So did music, in a sense, ground you, give you the foundation that you needed to maybe evolve
Yes.
or avoid getting involved in some
You
other
see,
things?
once after listening to Steel Pulse, then I have a very good brethren, and we decided, say, yeah, we can do that, you know.
Yeah.
I thought you only take up a guitar and play it.
There's more to it than that.
I never overstand that. You know?
Yeah.
Until get some guitar, and I have a good friend at the time, and he could play because I was playing with a soul band. And he began to teach me one and few chords.
Right.
You know? Teach me about one and few notes.
Right.
And he get me a book with all the chords and notes in it. And from there I started to develop my little skill in music, you know. Until we put the band together as Black Symbol, because you know, Black Symbol band, you know, is a family band, you know.
Right.
It was peer brothers. It was all brothers, our cousins.
Right.
You know?
Makes sense.
So from there, you know, we just go on to learn about music. We go to different teachers, what they know about music. So we have the influence of all type of music, jazz, funk.
And this is all in Handsworth?
In Handsworth, yeah. Because you have some good musicians, you know,
Of course.
who come out of Handsworth, who was living in Handsworth.
Well, this is why I'm so interested. There's so many names of people over time that just might get whitewashed if we don't know about them. If it wasn't for people like Alvin, who played saxophone, Bill, Gladstone, who used to play in church, and all these musicians in Handsworth and in Birmingham more widely, I wouldn't have learned anything. I wouldn't have known any jazz if it wasn't for people that came before. So who were some of the people, you've mentioned Steel Pulse, David Hines and all those guys.
Oh yeah.
The people
David and Selwyn. You know?
Of course, Gabadon, who's not far from us now as well.
Yeah, Gabby. Yes. And you have man like Robert. You know, known as Dr. Love.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a great musician, you know. Yeah, man, all respect for him. Rest in peace, Dr. Love. Yeah, man, but I'm a good virgin.
Right.
As a matter of fact, he was one of the first man to show me a chord how to hold a A note and a G note and a guitar. Yeah.
Okay. Foundation information right there.
Yes, Dr. Love. Big up.
Oh. And it kind of draws attention to how important both role models are and family is, the extended family. You know, it might be, and I'm just interested in what your opinion is, it might be that the changes we hear in music or the differences sonically from what was there in the 70s and 80s till now, the lack of extended families, you know what I mean? The greater hardship it is just to meet up and to get people together, you know, even with all the technology.
You know what I personally think? I think as time go by, you have a lot family the breakdown in families. And you know that seriousness, togetherness where we used to have, I notice we have it no more. You know? Because you find children now ruling the parents, telling the parents what to do. So that togetherness is not there like in a few time. Our time it was all about family, the closeness and the tightness of family.
Yeah.
But now you're good to have family rich scatter. Scatter a bit. You know,
It's
so
estrangement, so people are talking to their fathers or sometimes mothers and stuff for years, and then
me and you don't know that. We not even know say that could exist.
Yeah.
You could have your father and not talk to your father, your mother and don't talk.
and you might see them walking down the road and not speak to them.
That is not real. Yeah. When we see things like that and hear things like it coming like that's a nightmare. That is not real.
But I also wonder how long this has actually been going on. I've recently had a bit of an epiphany that as African peoples around the world, there's trauma all the time where the elders are like, these damn fool youths, they don't know nothing and them too stupid and them can't do nothing, and they get rejected. The youths are always, I don't want to listen to my dad or my dad's generation. They're stupid. I'm going to forge my own way. And we fail to create things that bridge the gaps generation.
You know what I think about that? I think it's society. You know? Yeah, man. Society. Because now you have children can carry them parents to court.
Yeah.
Right? I think we should point the blame on those who in authority. This authority do that. You know?
Yep.
And you see this closeness as family, I think it's a deliberate thing they try to do and break it up.
Right.
Because when you have a strong foundation, you know, nothing cannot shake that building. But if you don't have the foundation,
Right. The wind will just blow and that's it, everything fall down.
exactly.
Right.
So I would have blamed society more. Take away all power from the parents.
And you know, obviously fast forward to today, it's not any accident that with all of the youth centres closed, with all of the attacks since Thatcher's time really on the family, on being able to, you know, have working class families.
Make we everybody should know this, you know. You have these prisons, you know. These big corporations, you know, is a money making place, you know.
Private prison.
Right? And don't forget, if nobody don't go into prison, they cannot make no money. So obvious, they have to make it that these young kids can disobey their parents doing these things, that they can get them, lock them up
Straight
and
in
put them
there. Yes.
because they have to make their money.
Right. It's like a hotel that needs occupancy.
All right.
Right.
You know?
And that brings me on really, really well to another thing that's been fascinating me, just the association with black and criminal, you know. And we act like it's a new thing with these knife crimes and these gun crimes, but I'm also interested in, even when you were my age and younger, you know, in the 70s, how young aspirant black musicians or just black people in general could get caught up in this whole criminal culture, and that's your life tarred, you know.
Well, you see, me personally, and in my little group, what we used to move in, we was mostly on the spiritual side of things. You know, and even until today, my teachers in music, like Burning Spear, Pablo Moses, High Jaman Levi, Toots and the Maytals, you know, the Royal Rasses, the Rasses, the Congos, and I can name you right, the Diamonds.
Big family of musicians, right?
Yes. And if you notice, the younger artists now, with their lyrics, contents, I don't like it. It's not my thing. I'm mostly in the older type of music, if I was to put it that way. Young people, I say, oh, they're old people music. But the lyrics, content in them can never grow old. When I sit down and listen to Burning Spear, sometimes it brings tears to my eyes.
Still sound fresh.
Yeah, man.
Still relevant.
Yes, King. And I think most of the younger youths, and if there was just listening to artists like Burning Spear, High Jaman Levi, they would get such a great upliftment. You know?
And we've also been lucky to play and meet younger musicians. I mean, Israel's not far from here, right? There's a young keyboard player who's played with Basil and yourself.
Oh yeah. He's brilliant, a brilliant youth.
And he's still in his 20s or maybe early 30s. And
but again, you see youth like those, don't forget, you know, youth like those, you know, coming from the spiritual side. You have some young, nice spiritual. You know, check out your brethren. Even change.
Of course.
Have you listened to his lyrics lately?
Transformations.
You have a lot of young artists, hip hop artists as well. If I have the Reverence, which is one of my sons.
Right.
You know, you have Gorilla, you have Change. And if you listen to those lyrics from those young artists, give you a lot of inspiration. Yeah.
Definitely. I've clearly, obviously, been inspired by my brethren change. But what I also find really interesting is how wider society tries to organize you into, you're the good black person or you're the bad black person. You're the spiritual black person, you're the criminal. And I find it's quite limiting, you know what I mean? Because just the existence of being alive and black in certain circumstances already makes you a criminal to some people's point of view. I feel sometimes like rejecting the whole terms of the debate. So who's the real criminal? I never kidnapped people and took them from one continent to the next. Exactly. Who's the criminal?
Sometimes you have to see how them people are work them psychology, right? There's a bad man.
Right.
We're just gonna use man.
Yeah, sure.
Right? A bad man.
Yeah.
What make you bad?
In England, it's getting catch. That's the only thing. If you don't get catch, you could be Prime Minister of England, then you're a bad man.
Of course. Yeah. I heard Miss Thatcher say years ago. She says, "Everybody is a criminal now until they get catch." Only when they get catch, you know. You can't say, "Oh yeah, he do so and he do so and he do so," but everybody doing something.
Right.
But most of these people, they just look at you and just make a decision because maybe you don't like how your hair look. You don't like the clothes that you have on.
Right.
You don't like the shoes that you wear. Does that make you a bad person?
Of course not, but yeah. Anyhow, they can exclude you from the system.
Yeah. Then just blank you.
Yeah.
Without even knowing you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then don't even take the time out and say, good morning, my bridge.
Right, right.
My name is John. What's your name?
Snap second decision judgment, and that's you.
Then just look at you and make a judgment and just blank you. Which is wrong.
Of course, of course.
You know?
And I guess the bigger question for us, me as a middle-aged artist now, and for the elders and you know other musicians, is how to equip the youngest in our community with the tools to combat that, to not get caught out and just be, okay, now I'm in jail now, or now identifying with all these stereotypes that they're filling my head with. How do we show them a more spiritual side, a more constructive side, a more holistic side?
I'm going to tell you this. All of this started from the womb, inside the house. You see, when we were growing up, our parents used to say every Sunday we have to go to church. Whether you like it, yes or no, you have to go to church. And you see, church, going to Sunday school, I think is one of the best things could happen to our youngsters. Because it teaches them one thing. If you don't teach them nothing else, teach them one thing. How to be. You have to sit there for that hour and be patient. And be humble. You have to be quiet. So if you don't teach them nothing, you teach them how to sit, listen, and be quiet for even that hour. And what I notice with most of our youths, they have no patience. They cannot sit down or stay still for a moment. They keep moving. They have to move. Now, if we condition them from the young, try to install the right thing in the mind, you have to go to church. You have to quiet. You have to be yourself for this, even an hour.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a way to start. It's like having a seed and you plant it and watch it grow. You nurture it with water and you groom it.
Because I guess anything that's going to bear fruit, you need some discipline around it. You need some routine around it. Yeah, man.
And once we can do that, then most of the children will never depart from the truth. For you install that in them, so they grow with that, always conscious about that part.
That sounds like some King James. Like some wisdom. I just sounds familiar there. Instill them in that direction, and you're right. They won't depart from.
Still, they will never depart from that.
Yeah.
You will find children what never been to Sunday school. They go down there. They have some of them don't learn about God.
Yeah.
No, some of them do not.
There's no foundation.
Have that godliness in them. They're thinking of everything about wickedness, evilness, cruelty. That's all in for them head. They never take a time out and say, yeah, my Lord. So when I do that and that to my brothers, what can happen to them? They have no time to think.
Right.
About goodness. And most of the time, the parents them should blame themselves why they never grow them up in that way.
I also suspect that if you've been given a sense of worth in yourself, a sense of spiritual value, that God loves you or whatever your conception of it is, that you're valuable, then you treat yourself like you got some value and you treat other people like you got some value.
Right.
If everything's telling you, you ain't nothing, you can't achieve anything.
that is a wrong way to grow your kids. You should never tell a child saying don't work, you worthless. You should never. You should always encourage him and try uplift that child. You know you can do better.
Right. But it's
You
an
know
encouraging.
You can achieve.
Right.
That's all you need to do is just try a bit harder. Oh yes, you're trying hard, I like that. But you can do a little bit more.
Another thing you said that's really triggered a thought process is in the realms of the spiritual advice and stuff. I think there's another tension in the African Caribbean, African community more widely, between church, let's be honest, do you know what I mean? The conventional praising of Jesus and the different denominations, Methodist, Evangelist, whatever, and the more liberated Pan-African consciousness that says them just full up their head with lies and white Jesus and stuff. And do you think that tension's artificial? It doesn't need to be.
It's artificial.
Right.
We're Rasta people, you know.
Yeah.
You see, as you know, I'm a Rasta man. So when the way me see God may be different from the way most people see God. Right. Because me a man, me hear Selassie without any apology. 24:48.
Right.
Marcus Garvey. Martin Luther King. And I could go on, go on.
Yeah.
Yes. I see these people as my gods. These are people what me know was here on earth and do so much for their people. So I don't know how a next man want to see God. If he want to see him up in the sky, or where he want to see him.
When he came right here, like Malcolm X visited Birmingham, didn't he? Like,
yeah, man. I see all these people as my God.
Interesting, yeah.
I don't know how a man wants to see, but may respect every man. Him say if he want to worship a tree that a film business. I respect that.
Yeah.
Just like I want a man respect me.
Right.
And my gods.
Makes sense.
You know?
And what you're describing is quite a liberating perspective as well. It's not.
Yeah, man.
You have to sit down in this seat every week and you have to believe it according to these lines and these things that we feed you. These are considerations you've thought of yourself. Your African people around the world who...
You know, it's a whole heap of thing, you know. If you even go in your Bible, you know, it's a whole heap of story. And I don't deal with story. For we know, so story is not a real thing. It's something where you make up.
Right.
So I don't deal with story.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it all depends on you see
you frame these things. Right. Of course.
It's a personal thing.
And some of these inverted commas stories exist as powerful metaphors. If you have, what is Jesus? If you have eyes to see, let them see. Those who have ears to hear. Yeah. So you might, I'm just talking about some loaves of bread or something. If you're really paying attention, that's not about, some fish or something.
No man that falling from the sky, my lord.
Right.
They can take a dozen fish and feed a nation. I mean, I don't think that.
Right. Well, it's fascinating. I just think these kind of conversations, again, are important to bring people who have been so historically divided back together. If you think my grandparents' generation, sitting here talking as we're doing now, I'd be horrified. Like, this Rasta, they don't know anything. I'm sure your parents' generation as well, you must have experienced those things of argument and rejection.
I guess.
I'm curious.
I'll tell you something what I experienced. My mother was a woman which didn't accept Rasta. And I could remember my younger brother when they began to locks up. My mother would wait until the locks grow shoulder length. Then one day she just catch everybody, carry them up to the barbers.
Boy.
It used to be Terry, and you should have sit there. I said, Terry, make sure you ball it.
Chop off every lock.
Oh yeah, listen, my mom do that about 3 times to my younger brothers.
Wow. Wow.
You know?
This is long before fashion dreads.
And
This is long before
yeah,
rent a dread fashion
one day
locks.
I went down to the post office, and she and her friends come in, and my younger brothers then, because I was the last one to locks up, you know.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. When my brother them locks shoulder length, I still comb in my hair.
Right.
I went down to the post office, and she and one of her friend was talking, and the friend turned around to her and says, "Look at those teeth." And she turned around. My mom turned around and says to the friend, "Where?" Not knowing, was her son's.
Right.
You get me?
Wow. So the assumption.
Yeah. So my mom turned to her and says, "Where's her? Where's the teeth? You see them nasty head boy then?" And when my mother clocked on, and my mom turned to her and said, "Don't you know my sons?" I tell her, if the earth could open up, that woman would fly through the earth.
Just sheer shame. Just
Frightened.
Right.
She was so frightened. If the earth could open up, she would disappear. And I heard this with my 2 ears. My mom turned to her and says, "So what happened? You never know he's a Rasta too."
Wow.
I could not believe that come out of my mother's mouth.
Wow. So you converted, she turned her around.
You see, from that then, my mother was a new person.
Interesting.
Trust me. My mother was a new, she converted after listening to her friends. And the way the friend was belittling Rasta. My mom, I don't know what
Triggered.
triggered her. But I hear with my 2 ears when she turned to the lady and says, "You didn't know I'm a Rasta."
Wow.
And trust me. You see all them Jesus picture and everything there?
The Lord's Supper and all that.
You know, black people used to,
Of course.
them used to have them.
In every house.
What?
In the front room.
Which way that should I use? They used to just paint their house with it.
Yeah. Enough velvet little things
Yeah.
and then paintings of the Last
My
Supper.
mother take them one and get rid of all of them.
Wow. That's amazing. From going down to come with carry them barbers and chop off them locks to
Yeah, man.
actually understanding, and that's a big
But
lesson.
it
isn't it?
always takes something to trigger something in it. It always takes something. And that was the thing what triggered her off.
Wow.
If you know our friend could be
Talking
looking
down.
down at her own children then. Like that. By there is friend, she should know every one of her children.
Great point. And I think it's still going on today. You know,
Until
like,
this very moment we're talking, it's still going on.
we'll see some kid with a hood on and be like, they're gonna go stab someone and they're going straight to prison without the compassion to go, why is a man in that situation? Why are they being ostracized? They're somebody's sons or daughters,
Ah, yeah.
nephews or nieces.
Serious. Yeah, man. So,
This has been, insightful. Very, very thought-provoking. So we got the Flyover Show, finally, on the 18th of August to look forward to. I can't wait for all of that.
oh my God, yeah, I'm looking forward for that.
Serious things. And
Yeah.
the horn section, there's the special announcement. Black symbol plus arms, man, them.
Yes, King. I'm looking forward to that. You know? And what I want to do, I want to invite everybody on the 18th. So I want to make it a date. And we don't want nobody come late, you know.
No, sir.
Just make it a date. Because I'm going to do something which a big surprise for everybody.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I know for years, everybody
Talk about it.
talking and asking me question, but I'm gonna do it. So I'm not gonna give you no hint of what I'm gonna do.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to see everybody.
Brilliant.
But I'm telling you, you will have a big surprise from Black Simba.
Well, that's a drum roll moment right there.
I'm telling you, yes, King.
All right. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Young man, Rastafari, bless him.
Rastafari and I. Oh, good and pleasant it is to see all the brothers and sisters with one love and one unity. Sure! Rastafari. You are ready? Are you ready? You are ready? Listen, the first thing in the morning when I should come up, I love the quality, natural, tree, and a lemon growing on that farm. And we have a tree, and a lemon